got diagnosed with ADHD 7 years ago, and there are a lot of things I wish someone told me right after getting diagnosed that I had to figure out for myself. Today, you will learn 3 of the most impactful ADHD life lessons no one will tell you about that I had to learn the hard way to go from feeling stuck, judging myself, and being confused to now being able to build the life I love, being more self-aware, centered, and positive about the future. There will also be a bonus lesson, which was the most impactful of all for me, so make sure to stick around until the end. Welcome back to ADHDVision, where we help you thrive instead of just survive. So if you have ADHD, why don't you consider subscribing? I'm Nick, and you may have already seen me on your TikTok or Instagram feed because that's actually where I started posting this ADHD life lesson series, which has now gotten over 100 million views in total, and we also have over 2 million followers on these platforms. It's great to see you, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. Lesson number 1. One of the most important things about ADHD that I had to learn the hard way was that you will naturally have lower and more volatile levels of mood, motivation, and focus because of your brain's dopamine deficiency, which means you'll constantly be looking for something quick and easy to make you feel good. Social media, fast food, drugs can therefore quickly become habitual addictions for us, much more quickly than for a neurotypical person. And this makes your life a lot less predictable and consistent because no matter how good your intentions, you just never know if you can actually follow through on your goals because you always get sidetracked by those quick dopamine hits. You therefore lose trust in yourself and your self-esteem takes hit after hit. I was stuck in this pattern for a really long time. It's like you don't have control over your brain, but your brain has control over you. And we live in a dopamine age right now. It's everywhere, from the fast food cafe just 2 blocks from where you live to the endless entertainment over your phone and TV. You cannot escape it. Dopamine is marketed and sold to you every minute of every day, making this the most challenging time for us ADHDers. This is when I learned that I need to find sustainable ways to give my body healthy and natural dopamine daily. I learned that taking cold showers literally increases those brain chemicals by 500%, and aerobic exercise like running or just putting on good music will have similar effects. And here's why this is truly life-changing. Check out this graph. It shows your dopamine levels after taking cocaine. You see that spike? Followed by the big drop? It means you feel really bad after. In fact, you feel worse than before. And if you think about it, all fast ways of getting dopamine are like this. You have this huge rush, you feel great, but then you feel worse after, which is why I like to call this unhealthy dopamine. However, the amazing thing about getting natural and healthy dopamine from cold showers, sunlight, movement, certain foods is that dopamine levels rise over time and don't drop as quickly. This can give you boosted mood, motivation, and focus for hours instead of minutes and has completely changed my life. A cold shower in the morning, a bit of movement after lunch, and eating the right foods in the afternoon takes care of my dopamine deficiency really well throughout the day, which improves virtually any brain function I have. Dopamine has a huge effect on your way of seeing and functioning in the world. Now, habits are hard for us to establish, harder than for neurotypical people, as anecdotal evidence has shown. And it took over 3 years, but I've now gotten to the point where it feels weird not to do these things, which has led to my whole life improving. Remember, your brain is like a motor, and natural dopamine is its jet fuel. Lesson 1, create sustainable systems for natural dopamine, starting from when you wake up. And side note, what will have an even bigger effect is doing things that you naturally enjoy, like running or playing a specific sport for healthy dopamine, as studies have shown. Let me know your favorite way of boosting your dopamine naturally down below. Let's jump into lesson 2. And believe me, I had no idea this one was ADHD. Ghosting friends and loved ones. You didn't know either? Yeah. Welcome to the club. If you have ADHD, you will often end up ghosting friends, family, or loved ones because everything that you don't physically have around you is out of your mind. Out of sight, out of mind is a common ADHD symptom and is the reason for why we constantly need physical reminders like post-it notes everywhere. right? And so in relationships, you always have these really intense phases of connection only to end up completely going off grid. And the longer you don't reach out, the more guilty you start to feel, because it's not that you don't want to, but you simply forget. And if you remember, you don't have the energy or motivation to do it. The real problem ends up being that people think you don't like them or are doing it on purpose. And so they can get really confused and even build up this hate for you, which you usually only realize once it's too late and you have no idea what happened in the first place. It's odd and confusing for everyone, including us. This is when I had to learn to communicate this aspect of my ADHD openly with the people I care about and ask them to actually start calling or planning in-person time with me if they wanted to reconnect. Yes, this seemed very weird to do at first, but it's been a complete game changer for me because my close circle now knows that it's nothing personal when I don't reach out, which has strengthened my relationships beyond measure because people understand me. We can't always assume people understand without them knowing how our brains work. Lesson 2, be vulnerable with the people that matter. Lesson 3. If you have ADHD, you will often inevitably come to points in your life where it will start getting difficult to get out of bed again, because whatever you started out doing in the most enjoyable fashion has somehow lost its spark. It's difficult to put into words, but everyday life just becomes a struggle because it seems too repetitive. You start feeling guilty for not following through on things you absolutely loved just a few weeks ago. This is when I had to learn that I needed to start introducing new things into my life again. Do something completely out of the ordinary, like switching up environments, meeting new people, traveling, doing things you don't usually do or have never done. It could be as simple as taking a random drive somewhere you've always wanted to go, because this can help your ADHD brain get some novelty. Novelty is stimulating and motivating. You know what I'm talking about. When you're in a new environment, everything feels so intense and your brain is taking in everything from all angles, and is part of the reason for why I have fallen in love with traveling. I now also regularly switch where I work and sometimes have a few days off where I completely break out of my routine on purpose. Remember, your brain is literally allergic to boredom. Lesson 3. Seek newness to stay inspired and motivated. Now, last but not least, here is the promised bonus lesson I want to share with you all. If you've made it this far, make sure to subscribe. It may not seem like much for you, but each subscriber helps this channel improve the videos, get more experts, and so please just hit that button if you haven't already. Let's jump into the bonus lesson. This is one of my favorite lessons for productivity. If you have ADHD, you often have this guilty relationship with work because while others seem to effortlessly finish their tasks every single day, you have phases where you're incredibly motivated and end up getting 5 days work done in a few hours, only to end up becoming intensely focused on a single irrelevant activity and experience existential dread for days, and therefore feel like there must be something wrong with you. Because compared to the norm, what are you even doing? You're slouched on the couch for 5 days only to work 24 hours so you can meet a deadline. People often question our sanity because of this behavior. Am I right? This is when I had to learn that my brain isn't broken, but just works differently, and that comparing myself to others in regards to work simply makes no sense, because my ADHD brain tends to work best in short bursts, which activate when a task is new, interesting, challenging, or urgent. Nice, in short, so you can remember that I therefore need to start normalizing working in sprints rather than play against my brain and try to run a marathon. If you really think about it though, like really think about it, what's normal about being able to sit still for 12 hours at a time and work on one boring task day in, day out? We're not robots, right? So learning to accept myself on that front has been huge, because now whenever my brain has off days, I've learned to accept it, knowing I get it all done in record time once the deadline approaches and the pressure builds. What's really great about this is that I found a way to trick my brain into this last-minute pressure state each and every day. This allows me to complete any task I want to, no matter if I'm interested in it or not. It works 99% of the time, and for me, it's a really simple solution that eliminates my executive dysfunction and procrastination, and has allowed me to stay so consistent with uploading the videos you all know from me. If you want to know how I do this, or you think this sounds too good to be true, I'm hosting a 100% free online event where I'll show you exactly how this works. Simply click the link in the video description to sign up. Lesson 4. work in sprints. Be sure to check out these related videos if you haven't already. Stay inspired, and I'll see you very soon.